From the Sunmark Federal Credit Union Content Studio, this is the Sunmark 360 with Glen Stacey.
I hope it's a good day where you are, and welcome back to the Sunmark 360. I'm Glen Stacey. The Capital Region Chamber helps build a strong community by connecting their members to people, businesses, and issues important to business success. On the front line of that mission is President and CEO Mark Eagan. Today we revisit our Sunmark SitDown we had with Mark. We talk about the Sunmark-sponsored Entrepreneur Bootcamp, which is now in its fall session. We talk about the current business climate in the Capital Region, our strengths, and the challenges ahead for our local business community. Thanks so much for joining us on the Sunmark 360. I appreciate it.
My pleasure.
Good to have you. I want to start first. We're going to talk about the Chamber and all the amazing things you do here. But first I want to start with the Entrepreneur Bootcamp, because we just featured the recent winner of the Spring Business Camp, Charlotte Guyton, who has Barton Baker, and she was the winner of the Sunmark Business Competition. So I'd just like to get your thoughts on just the Entrepreneur Bootcamp in general and how you view that helping our local entrepreneurs.
I don't think there's any question that what that program does, you have somebody who might have a passion, they know I want to do X or do Y, but you can't run a business just based on a passion. There's a whole range of skill sets that a business person needs. So really through the boot camp, and I often say we call it a boot camp on purpose, just like the military puts you through a camp to say, is the military meant for you? To really figure out if running a business is really meant for you. Some of us really love what we do, but we make a better employee than we do employer. So really what we do is make sure we equip them with all the background, hopefully the skill sets, but then also for them to realize that there's organizations like Sunmark in the community that are really there to help support their success. Because being in business on your own can be very lonely. So for them to know the Chamber's here to have their back, but there's so many community partners that want them to be successful. And while oftentimes large companies sort of get headlines, it's the small businesses that in many cases are really the backbone of our community and really fuel our future growth.
And really the majority of business in the country are small businesses.
They are, and even like with the Chamber, the majority of our members are businesses who employ 20 or less people.
Yeah, that's amazing. And you do see, after you talk with some of the folks that have been through the boot camp, how energized they are and how more sure they feel because we got this.
Well, one of the nice parts about the boot camp, and probably you covered it in your segment, it's not just sort of the curriculum that we have, it's then the instructors that we have are true practitioners in their field. But really one of the other components is, we really encourage them to develop a business plan. So it's not just the concepts, but really putting it into reality. So they're thinking it all through strategically. And for most businesses, if they're really going to take that idea and launch a business, they're going to need resources. Right. So if it's going to a financial institution, they're normally going to say, well, what's your business plan? Right. And for most of them, until they go through our program, they really don't have it put down on paper.
What do you see as with this the boot camp? How do you see that from a Chamber perspective? It's a program that you offer, and it definitely is an asset to the Chamber. So,
well, really, the goal of the Chamber is really, we want a vibrant, growing, prosperous community. That's really why the Chamber exists. When people think of the Chamber, oftentimes they think of, well, that's an organization for the business community, or some people even think that we might be an extension of government. We're not. We're a private, not-for-profit membership association, and our members are really the regional business community, both for-profits and non-profits. So some of the smallest businesses that are in our community and the largest employers, whether it's a hospital or a GE or Global Foundries, they're all part of the organization. There's the old expression that there's strength in numbers, and I think really with the Chamber we can see that that's not just an expression, there's really truth to that. Chamber has about 2,400 members, and those businesses employ more than 150,000 area residents, again, both for-profits and non-profits. But why do we do it? We realize that if our goal is to have a vibrant, growing community, and for individuals to better opportunities, for most people, the way they have better opportunities is by having a job or a better job. So if we look and say, we believe that business is some of the primary fuel for community prosperity. So all that we do while we're working with businesses, it's not simply for businesses to be successful. It's for businesses to be successful, so we have a successful community. So that's why the boot camp is, we think we have a responsibility to help people who want to start a business who don't know where to start. And that's why we have this program twice a year, is to give them all the fundamentals. And then once a business is in formation stage, there's all kinds of resources that the Chamber has to help support their growth, or for us to be really a solution center for them.
And while we're on the topic of the Chamber, what are some of those resources? What would you say are some of the resources that maybe a lot of folks in the community might not realize are right here at the Chamber? Well,
there's a sort of, if you want to say, key areas or sort of pillars within the organization. Within our strategic plan, we have 3 sort of core strategies. One of them relates to advocacy, to really issues of public policy. That there's definitely decisions that can be made at the local, the county, the regional, or the state, or even federal level that can either help our community or be impediments to economic growth. So I'm a registered lobbyist. We have a full-time government affairs person on our staff. So we're very serious about that work. Because if we don't take a stand, what do we really stand for?
That's right.
And individuals, they're focused on their own homes, or businesses focused on meeting payroll on Friday. We're focused on those big picture issues, and how with that collective voice can we have greater impact. The other issue we have in the Chamber is we have a bundle in what we're called talent development. Years ago, I always say, if you look through the different economies, way back when we had an agrarian economy, it was communities that had almost the most fertile soil were the most prosperous. And then when we were, in an industrial economy, it was factories and machines. Well, today, as we're truly in an innovation economy and we're in a global world, that the communities, the cities, the regions that are going to be most competitive and most successful are those that have the best talent. So the Chamber has all kinds of programs to help, whether it's professional development for the individuals, or to help to connect companies to people, or to resources to help support their talent development attraction efforts. And then the piece that we just call business growth. So whether it's connecting businesses with financing, whether it's connecting them with almost what are those pain points. In many cases, you can almost think of the Chamber as we're a problem-solving organization. Whether it's community issues that could be that we're dealing with, maybe it's tied to higher education or K through 12 education, or it's from a business side. Can we anticipate what are those urging issues going to be? What are those impediments or obstacles going to be? And how can we use our collective strength to minimize or to overcome them?
Yeah, and like you said, strength in numbers is very important, because sometimes if you do have your own business and you're one of the smaller businesses, sometimes it can feel like with all the work that you have to do to put into your business, you're on your own island.
That's right. And I think that, that when we live and work here, sometimes you only know what we know. But if you look at any statistics, if you look at the state of New York, the only areas in the state of New York that have growth is one, the city does. And then really the other is the capital region. If you look at the other upstate areas, if you look at the North Country, you look at Buffalo, Rochester, Syracuse, Binghamton, unfortunately, they're really on a slow, steady decline. Through a collective effort that began almost 20 years ago, the focus was how can we grow and diversify our economy? For a long time, we were known as primarily state workers, known for our hospitals, and known for our colleges and universities. And those are 3 main pillars of our economy. But again, I think we've now, through technology, through innovation, through all different size companies, we really now have a 4th leg of that stool, and that's really the private sector. Those are for-profit companies versus those other 3 legs. Healthcare is nonprofit, colleges and universities are nonprofit, obviously state government is state government. And so having that private sector jobs is real important. When people think of the Chamber, they might think of, well, are they focused on economic development? And I think oftentimes in our minds, if you were going to have an image for economic development, It could be bricks and mortar and cranes and steel buildings. There's like construction going on. And in my mind, my definition is different than that. If we looked at it and said, our vision of economic development is, can we make sure that our community has jobs that meet the educational aspirations of our children and our grandchildren? So whether that's a GED or a PhD, do we have jobs for them in our community? And I think we do today. I'm not sure 20 years ago we could have said that. When a family member might have gone to college, and then it said, I want to live in a big city, or I want to be by an ocean, and they were 28 or 32 and they want to come home, do we have jobs for them? And if we don't, I think we failed them. And I think today, in large part through organizations like ours, we have those opportunities. And I think that we're positioned that our best days can still be to come in the capital region. So those of us who live here, those of us who do our banking at Sunmark, we need to believe in our community. Because if we expect people outside to believe in us, we need to believe in the richness and the resources that we have.
As the CEO of the chamber, you wear a lot of hats. We see you at the grand opening, and we see you, talking with the politicians in Albany, trying to make things happen.
Yes.
Is there a favorite part of your job that you kind of look forward to the most? Well,
the amazing part is I have actually been in chamber work since I graduated from college. So I've been doing this for 31 years. I can't believe it. and the reason is because I can see the difference when you have the community working together for the betterment of the community. There's not a lot of jobs where you can say, really, we're trying to build a better community. That's really what I do and the people that I work with do every day. I get to work, with Joe's Garage on the corner, and I get to work with the CEOs of our largest companies. So I'm fortunate that I really have a unique vantage point. And I think the chamber is an organization that really can have an impact. So I guess in some cases, as you asked the question, it's really the diversity of what I do. And then I'm fortunate to say that I have 31 years of experience. I don't have 1 year of experience 31 times. There's new opportunities. I grow as the organization and as our community grows.
Awesome. I want to kind of switch over to kind of your view of, just business in general in the capital region. How you feel as you talk to different businesses, how things are progressing here in the area.
I think we're doing very well. So I moved here almost 10 years ago. And people had said then that, we don't normally have recessions. And they thought it was because some of those pillars that we talked about, the strength of our economy. But that last deep recession, that was really an international recession, we felt. And we felt it for a number of years. And even when we started to move out of it, people and companies were still very cautious. But now we really have had several years of strong economic growth. If we look at our unemployment rate, it's, we're very low. We're basically at like full-time employment. And so as I talk to businesses today, almost no matter what their size is, whether they're for-profit or non-profit, one of the biggest challenges they have is finding quality people. So again, from the chamber side, we look at it and say, we can't say that's right now is just because the economy is strong. If we look at the true demographics, the number of people who are going to retire over the next 10 years because of baby boomers, and the number of folks in the pipeline to follow, we have a deficiency. So really one of the things that's incumbent upon our organization in working with other partners and with our municipalities is we have to attract people to move here. And that's why even our work in public policy is real important. While New York is good for a lot of things, I think most of us who live and work here enjoy it. And we have a lot of natural resources. We're also one of the most expensive states to live in. Yeah. Whether it's to buy a home or what we pay in income tax, what we pay in property tax. So for some people, they're going to look and say, well, can I afford to move there? So again, those are the big picture issues that we have to remind people of. So I think that we believe we're going to continue to grow, but we believe that there's potential impediments to our growth, and how do we overcome those?
So you have a lot on your plate to still left to achieve.
I never get bored. Never get bored.
Awesome. Well, Mark, thank you so much for taking time out of your day to chat with us and to join us on the Sunmark.
Well, we're pleased to have Sunmark as one of our key partners.
Yeah, we love being here. We love being part of the Entrepreneur Boot Camp and all the amazing things that are happening and what you're doing for the community. So,
Terrific. Thank you very much.
thanks for joining us.
That's the Sunmark 360 for this week. To contact the 360, send us an email, sunmark360@sunmarkfcu.org, and follow Sunmark on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, IGTV, and YouTube at Sunmark FCU. We'll see you next week on the next Sunmark 360. Don't forget to follow Sunmark and the Sunmark 360 on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube.